talked about how much you wanted to be a part of this rivalry. I mean, how good does it feel to get on top there and see how the guys kind of reacted to finally beating these guys?
Really happy for the players that went through the pain of not having success. So, two critical guys in the game tonight. Verhaeghe too, but Barkov and Bobrovsky, when you're a leader, when you're the number one goaltender, when you're the captain, and you have a series that doesn't go your way, those are the guys they look at, right? They have to answer for it. So both those guys are really good tonight. Both those guys really, really good all series. So I'm happy for the guys who dealt with some pain in the loss. I roll into town when the team's pretty good. I didn't have to deal with any of that. So those guys will appreciate today. Not that I don't, but they'll appreciate it at a different level.
And Coach, just sort of build that with Barkey. I mean, you talk about just how he leads so quietly for the most part. To come out a little bit louder with the 2 goals, that came to be pretty critical. Just the importance of, for like you said, for him to have such a big moment in the clinching game.
So I think Sasha prepared for this kind of right from the summer last year. He came back to training camp faster, stronger. He's hitting more than he ever has. He's kind of built himself now for the playoff game, and he really doesn't play a puck game, but he can, right? But he's going to the net on the shorthanded goal. He's driving. So now he's able to lead other players. Thank you for that, whoever's working the soundboard. Now he's able to lead other players because you can't, it's difficult to be an example to people who can't do what you can do. But the hard things that he does in the game, we can all do, right? We can all compete shift on, shift out. So he's become a real fine leader for this team because he's become more like everybody else. And then in saying that, he's not like anybody else.
Coach, we usually see line changes when a team is trailing. You guys are leading, you switch up the lines. The results obviously follow. Just what in that moment made you feel like that was the right decision?
Well, I went out to the bench with 2 cards in my pocket tonight. And while I was comfortable with, after the Sam Bennett injury, we make the quickest adjustment we can with the fewest moves possible and win the game. So you go into the next game and you'll say, well, why? It's the physicians do no harm is your first rule as a coach. So I'm not going to mess that up, and we win. But I'm not comfortable with it. That I understand, at least from doing my job, I understand what that does, that bench is. So the guy there that you could probably talk a little bit about, and certainly we would talk about Sam Reinhart more if he wasn't up for a contract. But we would say that tonight might be a real good day. Like I've said, sometimes I've said nice things about Anton Lundell when I didn't love his game, just the question was nice. Boy, Anton played great tonight. Yeah, Anton was great tonight. But I thought Anton Lundell tonight was rock solid. And when the changeover happened, and he's playing against Point, right? So the advantage that we have possibly in that game from that change is that I can get Listerine and Lundell and Reinhart, and they can hold that line. And when that happens, then the Barkov line gets a little bit different assignment. And so Anton Lundell had a major impact on the success of our game tonight. And it would be quietly because he didn't score any goals, but he was a big part of it.
You guys, Tampa Bay had 2 goals taken off the board.
Mm-hmm.
Coop was just in here. He said he didn't think what Duclair did was egregious for the first one.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, he thought that Bob gave up on it to get the ref's attention. Just your thoughts. I mean, you won them both, but your thoughts on how those played out.
And I'm not a believer that things even out, but maybe that changes my belief. Or moves it slightly. I don't believe that all washes out at the end of the year at all. But I feel a little better about my relationship with everybody.
Coach, you kind of touched on it a minute ago, but how do you feel like the team's kind of stepped up in Sam Bennett's absence?
Thank you. Sorry, one-eyed guy.
Okay, how do you feel like the team has stepped up in Sam Bennett's absence, and especially Kevin tonight with that assist on Evan's goal?
Yeah, really well. And that, we need to find some belief. Like, Sam Bennett's not just a really good, he's an identity player for us. We've unfortunately, over the last year and a half, I guess almost 2 years now, we spent a lot of time without him. So we have to be able to adjust, but we're just way better when he's in the lineup. The Evan Rodrigues goal from Stenlin, the idea of that was my favorite part about the third period. I thought we were tight in the first. And it's not, so I didn't like our game 4. I didn't think that the coach did a very good job preparing his team for the snarl that you were gonna need to have to win game 4 in their building. And then we came out tonight, I drank a lot of coffee before the game, so I was ready. And then it didn't, what I was feeling didn't match what I was seeing. And then you're kind of going, what's going on? So I thought we were tight. So we get into the second period. Carter's goal is big. You can almost feel we're going to be different in the second period when we start coming a little bit. But the third period, you got a 2-1 lead. So all that tension comes back into your room, right? God, you want to win so bad. Like, it's just, we made a bunch of plays in the third period. We made more plays in the third period in that pressure than we did in the first period. When there's still lots of time on the clock, you shouldn't necessarily be feeling the pressure. But we made plays, and that goal is a perfect example. That's a pretty good toe drag and pretty good seam pass. And I like the players playing the game. I want them to play it smart because I don't want them toe dragging all over the ice. But that was my favorite part. That when the pressure was the most extreme, the guys made plays. They stepped up and made plays. That takes some courage.
Before game 1, John Cooper sat here and said that you guys are their biggest rival. And we, the fans and the media, we kind of tried to build this whole thing up, cross-state rivals. How much more important was this for the guys that were here in 2022 that got swept? And
that's big, right? You have to slay the dragons. You do. You've got to do the things that you haven't been able to do to show forward motion and progress, because there was more pressure on our team. So we started talking about this 3 months ago. Not Tampa, just the pressure of the first round if you had home ice advantage. And I think there were a whole bunch of very difficult things, and one of them it was Tampa. And they play a different offensive game. Those guys, like, their power play is just off the charts good, and our penalty kill, I thought, was fantastic. They're going to score goals. They got a 6-on-4 and a 5-on-3. We watched those out. 5-on-4 were pretty darn good. It's just a whole, they got a goaltender that made a bunch of saves. Sergei's, what do you call it, the bobbery, whatever it is. That one trumps all the other ones because it's just so good on video. But both guys made a bunch of sneaky little saves and they made it look easy at times. But that's a team that can beat you on that. They can beat you on their power play, on some of that skill level, on that goaltender, and everybody in our room knows it, right? Because they lived through it. So there's a lot of pressure in that room. They handled it well.
Last question, Mike.
Paul, just what you were talking about a couple minutes ago about making the plays when the pressure was extreme. That sometimes isn't a normal thing, even at this level. How much do you think that calmness, the poisonous, everybody wanting the puck, everybody wanting to make plays, stems from the growth that you did last year, and how much can that drive you the rest of the postseason?
Well, the experience really helps you understand what's coming and what you're going to affect. But why does that happen? It's because Sam Reinhart gets up on the bench and starts barking about we made 2 inside plays so on our bench, right corner, 2 inside plays, and he's at the end of the bench just wailing about how good that was, and we got to make plays. Coaches don't matter that much at that time of game. We got to get the matchup right. I got it wrong once, but we got to get the matchup right. Other than that, it's all players. So when Sam Reinhart, that's just leadership, right? And then he's the guy, and then Barkov's line does the same thing. They will make inside plays under pressure. That's all player leadership. Now, I'm not a complete moron, so I'm not screaming, get the puck out. We're trying to encourage it too, but at the same time, the players drive that, right? They give each other that confidence. They'll tell great play on the inside, great play on the inside. So the next time it comes over, he's making that play. I really liked our third period. I like the vibe on the bench, even before it went to 3-1.
Thanks everyone very
All
much.
right.
Have a great evening.